Hey there! We all want to save money on food costs, but there's one particular category that it seems really hard to save on, and that is meat. Are you looking for advice on how to save on your meat budget for your family? If you are, look no further. I've got some great advice for you. Jen, welcome to the channel. I'm so glad you're watching. This is a space where we like to talk about taking the least of what we have and making the most out of it. And that includes our finances and budgets. I made a video a while back on how to save a ton of money on food and groceries, and thank you so much to everyone who watched it. I got some incredible comments and extra advice from some of you viewers, and I'm gonna link that so you can go ahead and watch it if you haven't seen it. But one of the comments I got a couple times was that I didn't really cover in the video how to save money on meat. So I would like to talk about that today. In the age of keto diets and people generally just trying to get back to the basics of food and nutrients, meat is maybe making a bit more of a comeback right now, and people are thinking less carbs, more protein, and so along with that, your grocery bill can really skyrocket if you are suddenly consuming more meat. So how are you gonna save on it? I'm gonna tell you some of what our family does, and I hope it helps you as well. So really, I have 4 basic tips. The first tip is to try, if you can, to buy your meat from a local farmer and in bulk. This can save you so much money. Now there's a caveat. There are some cases where buying meat from the farmer is actually more expensive. There are farmers out there who are what I would call kind of gourmet food farmers, and they cater to people from the cities, people who maybe are restaurateurs, and they are very high-end meat products with a focus on organics and all things healthy. But you know what? You can actually find organic grass-fed meat in a lot of farms that don't charge nearly as much as others. So you really want to do your research as to what farmer you're using. My husband and I actually have friends who have a little family farm, and we purchase our beef, our pork, and our chicken from them. And it's a great idea if you know a farmer and you know somebody to just kind of question them about it before you jump right in. You might want to visit their farm and see how they treat their animals. So we know that the animals we purchase are actually largely in the summertime anyway, because this is Canada. In the summertime, they are pasture or grass-fed. They are free range out in the field. We know they're treated well. They're treated kind of like family members. And that makes a big difference to our family. And we also know that the prices our friends are charging are not astronomical, and they're much cheaper than the grocery store. So for example, when I buy beef in bulk, so we might buy a half or a quarter of a cow in beef at the store, I'm probably saving I'm probably spending about a quarter to a half of what I would spend on a roast for beef at the store, or ribs or something like that. Your ground beef is probably gonna be about the same, but because you're buying in bulk and you're buying so much of this cow, you're gonna get all of your prime cuts, your steaks, everything like that with it. And oftentimes from the farmer, it's only a couple dollars a pound, which is a whole lot cheaper than what you're going to pay at the grocery store for some of those items. So that's tip number 1. Find a farmer, and if you've got a freezer or chest freezer, I hope you do. If you have the space, definitely invest in one and buy that meat in bulk. Tip number 2 is that if you can't find a farmer and you need to buy your meat from the grocery store, we all buy meat from the grocery store from time to time, then wait until the meat is on sale and buy it in bulk and freeze it. So sometimes you might find that the little Black Forest hams or bacon or chicken breasts or ground beef go on sale for 99 cents a pound. There is nothing wrong with buying all that meat fresh and popping it in your freezer. So comb your flyers. When you get to the stores, go to the meat section and purposefully look and see if something's on sale, and if it is, stock up. And my next tip is closely related to that, but it's about the freezer section of your store. You'll notice I'm mentioning freezers a lot. So when you're buying from the farmer, to have a chest freezer to put it in. When you buy it at the store, freeze it in bulk. I think there's a misconception out there that fresh, never frozen is always best for meat. You hear fast food chains, tout that, oh, fresh, never frozen beef. But do some research on that one. As a mom, I'm actually more comfortable buying frozen meat. So tip number 3 is to buy your meat out of the freezer section at your grocery store. It's always cheaper than the fresh meat. The reason I'm okay with this as a mom is because freezing your meat actually kills a lot of the bad bacteria like E. coli, things that we don't want necessarily in our systems or in our children's tummies. It really lowers your risk of food poisoning if you freeze something and then thaw it before you cook it. So it's really not less healthy to freeze your meat products, and it's a whole lot cheaper. It can save you so much money. So visit that freezer section, make it a habit. Buy your ground beef already frozen. It's usually just as good as the fresh stuff and oftentimes half the price. And my last tip number 4, is to consider cuts of meat that aren't your prime cuts. So sometimes we shy away from things like soup bones or stewing beef because we think, oh, what am I gonna do with that? Or it's too tough and grisly. But a quick search online for different recipes using these types of kind of like what we consider like the byproducts of meat, you'll actually find some amazing recipes. And added to that, there are a lot of essential nutrients and vitamins that are within some of these non-prime cuts. So within your soup bones, for example, if you're boiling that down, within the bone marrow is going to be lots of antiviral, immune boosting properties that you actually want in your diet. So don't shy away from cooking with these things just because you've never cooked with them before. You're just set on a roast or steak or ground beef. Try out some of these secondary cuts because they are a whole lot cheaper and can save you money. There's that term, use the whole buffalo. This is something that I have several adopted children who are First Nations, and this is something that's really important to Indigenous culture, that we don't just use parts of, just the bacon and the pig or just the ham, that we use the entire animal because that's less wasteful, it's better for the earth, and it's better for you as a human being consuming it, that you consume different parts of the animal for those nutrients as we already discussed. So on the topic of use the whole buffalo, what about buffalo? Have you considered using meats that you don't typically eat? Because they can also a lot of times be a lot cheaper. For example, do you know a hunter, or maybe you could take up hunting yourself if you're from Canada? There's a lot of hunting opportunities. There are in the United States as well, but that can save you a whole lot of money. And if you know somebody, if you have a neighbor or friend who's a hunter, that could maybe sell you some venison or moose, turkey, goose, duck. Now, buffalo isn't something we hunt here in Canada, but there are more and more people raising buffalo, and it's actually very reasonably priced if you're buying in bulk from those ranchers. Things like fishing, going to a clean stream and fishing yourself and eating what you've caught, that can save you a lot of money. Have you seen the prices of seafood in our stores lately? It's astronomical. It's really hard to find reasonably priced seafood. So why not make it kind of like a family affair and go fishing and get some fish yourself? Okay, so those are my 4 tips on how to save money on meat. I hope it helped you to kind of think outside the box a little bit. Maybe there are some things I missed here that you want to comment below that would help other viewers on their quest to kind of save money on groceries. And I'm actually gonna have a few more videos coming up in this series on grocery savings, because there were also people who requested that I talk about those who have special diets. Perhaps they're vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free. So I did actually want to make some videos on that and how to save and kind of comparing prices of different diets. Because actually we have people in my family who are on those types of restricted diets, and they can eat cheaply as well. I realized that my very first video on saving a ton on groceries did feature a lot of carbs, because that's what we eat. But I didn't want to leave out those of you who maybe that doesn't apply to your life or your lifestyle. So I did want to show you and empower you that you can do this, you can save too. So good luck, everyone. Don't forget to subscribe and comment. I love to hear from you as the viewers. Until next time, for the least, this is Jen. Bye.